A very good morning to you. I am Hilda Wadidi and you are watching Youth and Politics, my favorite segment of Y in the Morning on Mondays. You can catch me here every Monday from this time until 8:30 for Youth and Politics. And with me in studio, I have one Muthiora Kariara. He was part of the independent candidates team. He was Japheth Kalu's running mate back in the 2017 elections. And I have Wakili Ocheng himself. He's a lawyer and an advocate. And today, the big debate going around is the whole referendum idea. Say good morning first. Let me give you an opportunity to say good morning.
Good morning, Kenyans. We are happy to be here to discuss this issue of referendum question, and I hope that we are going to engage. Right. Thank you.
Good morning, viewers and everyone who watches Y254. I know you follow this TV station online, and I appreciate that because after I'm here, the engagement is usually epic. We're here to discuss Kenya's future, politics, and your role as a youth. This is where you need to join us because Kenya ni yetu. Asanteni, karibuni.
Yes. I would like us to address something very specific that Muthiora Kariara today here looks like he looks very sporty. And this is for a good cause. Muthiora Kariara is doing a Kenya One campaign in which for every corruption case reported, each corruption case filed in court, there are 8,044 of them. They are cycling a kilometer for each. So they are going to cover 8,044 kilometers in order to create awareness on the corruption issues facing the country. So he actually cycled here today, and that is why he looks the way he looks.
Actually, Hilda, this is a campaign, and it's not my campaign, but I want you to make it your campaign. Kenya One campaign is about mobilizing Kenya's youth into fighting corruption. Well, we are telling people why we must kill corruption. This is the season when corruption must die. So every young person out there, number one, who doesn't have a job, leo nawaandika kazi, tupigane na ufisadi. Let's fight corruption. That's what the Kenya One campaign is about. In the last financial year, that's 2006-2007, 8,044 cases were filed. That's a lot of Kenyans out there who have hope that we can defeat corruption. They reported cases, and these cases have been investigated. Some have already been closed. So it means there are people who believe that we can beat corruption, and we want to come together with them and encourage others that when you see something going wrong, we're not in a helpless situation. Take charge. It's good you've mentioned taking charge, because I think the youth need to take charge at this point. Anyway, let's moving on to the topic of the day. The 5th annual devolution conference has just concluded in Kakamega County, and something interesting has come up because Raila and Uhuru both gave speeches, and actually a whole team has been unveiled to in honor of the handshake, the big handshake between Uhuru and Raila. There's a team of 14 members. Actually, there are 2 senators, and there are actually, let me not, if I would read do I read the whole list? I think it's a very long list, but you shouldn't read that list because that list has no youth, and this is a show about the youth, so there's no point.
All right. So basi, what do you guys think about Raila saying that we need to go back to the 3-level government structure, and we can also, the country needs to be split into 14 administrative blocks with regional governments? What is your opinion on that? Do you think it's a plausible cause and we should be having a whole referendum about it?
When we were making the constitution that's governing our nation today, there was input from Kenyans, and we had a bomber's draft, which is not what we adopted. His recommendation is not the bomber's draft which he was fronting at that particular point. So my question is this: what changed that he right now does not believe in the system he believed in then, but wants this hybrid system that's going to cost the taxpayer more? I would say he's not fighting for Kenya. He's fighting for the governors who, after they've served their 2 terms, will not have any important role to play in society.
So you agree with the deputy president? He says that it is all
No, I don't.
Political ploy to create more positions.
I didn't say that. I'm not in agreement with him. This is just my analysis.
Yeah.
There's no value for money in this process.
Yes.
Anyone who is sane can see that this is self-defeating. Kenya is already overrepresented. We have women representatives whose role and function is not well defined. They don't even have a budget.
Yes.
That's something we need to fix before we add another tier of government. My suggestion is we actually should say, since we are struggling with affirmative action, that for every elective position that has a running mate, let us have both genders. If the governor is a male, let the deputy be a female, and vice versa.
So you're more on the third way
side. And scrap the women representative position. That kind of a thing would help Kenya rather than what we want to have right now. It's a good thing we're seeing the governors come together and form economic blocks. That's the way to go. Let us look to produce. Let us look to empower the people, but not create positions that will only serve the elite.
All right, Wakili Ocheng, what do you think?
Well, now, just a little hint on what he said about the fight against corruption.
Yes.
I think, as a country, for us to fight corruption, because we know that we have fought corruption year in, year out.
Yes.
We have seen leaders calling out against corrupt people in public institutions. But we must have ethics and anti-corruption commission that is working.
Yes.
If we are going to continue having toothless dogs, sleeping dogs in the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, then we are not going to have any effort in fighting corruption. So first, when they are running, when they are cycling to fight corruption, they must have it at the back on the encephalon that we must have people who are working at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Two, on the referendum question.
Okay, just before you get to that, since that's a very important point he raised, just allow me to chip in. I think
turn-taking is important. Let me just continue.
I get it. This is important because for Kenya to move forward, we know we must defeat corruption. And where we get it wrong is when we point fingers. Like he just said, that the problem is with the commission. No, the problem is with us, the wananchi. For there to be a bribe, it takes two people. There's the giver and there's the receiver. We take initiative as citizens. Then the people at the top will also be called to action. So it starts with you, not up there. Take responsibility.
Let me tell my friend Muthiora that we have seen circumstances where national leaders and public servants, public officers disobeying court orders. We have seen people calling these leaders to obey these court orders. People have called these leaders against corruption, and we have seen people like Anne Waiguru going scot-free when they had squandered a lot of money. But nobody has been brought to book. Nobody has been questioned. Nobody has been taken to court because we have people who are not responsible at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. That is all. On the issue of referendum, we have had a lot of talks, a lot of claptrap engaged in referendum. We have had the TRT Member of Parliament, Kasait Kamket, talking about a referendum. We have had I've had Deputy President William Ruto and his political Hallelujah boys talking about referendum. We have had this talk.
No, but actually, the Deputy President is actually against the whole idea of the referendum.
But we have to ask the question, who is pushing for a referendum and for what purpose? The referendum talk about that is spearheaded by Kamket is to have a Kenyan governance that is having a parliamentary system, which we don't have today. Today we are having a presidential system. The referendum talk that has been called by some opposition leaders and opposition parties, inter alia the ODM party, is to have a three-tier devolved unit system, where we are going to have regions, 14 regions, where we're going to have the counties and then the national government. We are calling for a 14 regional space in governance in devolved units, so that we can have a situation where the national cake is shared evenly.
Okay, this is the argument the Deputy President had in relation to that. He said that if at all the issue is devolution and people, public resources not being able to reach everybody, why add another layer to the top? Like, why move upwards, add another governing body, instead of going downwards to the MCAs and the wards where the money actually goes to? If they can improve on that, then devolution will still be fine. They don't understand why we should hire more people, why it's going upwards and not downwards. And so that's why he's saying it's a ploy to get people political positions if they lose and what have you. So the big question here is, how is it supposed to help us? If I also kind of agree with the Deputy President, how is it going to help us to add another layer of government? Those are more people we are paying.
Now, you see the people, Kenyans have not really understood the concept that we are talking about. We are looking at a situation where, you remember our provincial administrations, you remember how they worked. That is what His Excellency Raila Odinga is talking about. Let's have 14 regional devolved units, where we have money coming from the national government into these 14 people that are easily accountable. The 14 people can easily be questioned, can easily be brought to book. Then we retain our counties. So we have money getting into these regional devolved units, then money trickling down to the governors, and then to the members of the county assembly, then to the mwananchi. That is what we are talking about. We are talking about a situation where we are having people easily questionable, easily accountable. Because you see, we are having a situation where the money is coming from the national government to these counties. The counties are not getting the money equally. Why? Because we are seeing some counties are richer than other counties. But we are saying that let this money coming from the national government be divided evenly, and that is why we are having 14 regions. Then this money, after they get to the 14 regional devolved units, then we get to the counties. That is what His Excellency Raila is fighting for. On the talk on 2022 politics and the referendum, you see, you and me know how the Deputy President can play around politics. You remember when we were fighting for Mau, for eviction of Mau, what did he say? He said, rain is not coming from the forest, it's coming from heaven. Today, Mau has issues. You remember when we asked for a local tribunal to solve our issues after the 2007-2008 post-election violence? What did he say? He said, let's not be vague, let's go to Hague. Today, we are saying, let's have a splendid discussion on how we can have ethnic cohesion, how we can have national unity. And we can only do this if we have a situation where we don't have violence after every electioneering period. How do we get to achieve this? Let's have a situation where everybody is involved in governance of this country. And that the only Catholic onto that is a parliamentary system, where we have a prime minister in the house, can be questioned. He is going to be the leader of government business. We have the ceremonial president, though.
Okay, so so who is our ceremonial president? What power does a ceremonial president have? Why would I, as a youth, wake up to go and vote for a ceremonial president? Can they at least let us know who is who? Because if there's another president that the parliament is voting for, and then there's another president we are voting for, doesn't that take away our voice? Now,
let me take you to an example, just aside. We have a parliamentary system in Israel. You see how it works. We have a parliamentary system in Russia. So this is what happens. A ceremonial president is the head of state. The prime minister is the head of government. The head of government ensures that the executive is performing its functions. The head of state is ceremonial to the extent that he is representing the state anywhere, abroad and within the country. But ODM is pushing for not a fully ceremonial president. we are pushing for a situation where we are having the Prime Minister and the President sharing executive powers. Why do we want to share executive powers? So that we are not having a country that we, after every election, it's a winner take all. That is what is bringing us violence.
Yes, Junet had actually, the minority had talked about that. He said that, where is it? He talked about how, where is he? Somewhere here in my notes. It's something to do with political inclusivity.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. It's not really about people creating their own positions.
Exactly, and that is the exact antidote. That is the only way we are going to end electoral violence.
All right, Muthiora, can I hear your opinion?
That's not the only way. The only way to move Kenya forward is for everyone who lives here to adhere to the rule of law, because we have that in Kenya, and it's guaranteed by our constitution. This whole talk about another level of government is hogwash. It's not going to do Kenya any good. And why I'm not necessarily in support of the Deputy President's push for people to stop debating about the referendum is he's one person who actually opposed the constitution we have today. He saw that this is not the right constitution for Kenya to have. So when he comes to defend it again, when people want to amend it, I say, are we being sincere?
He's doing it for expediency purposes and politics.
You get my point?
Yes.
Now, at the same time, we talk about allocation of revenue. There is a structure to it that is fair. That's why in the past couple of years, some counties such as Turkana were getting the same allocation as Nairobi. So it's not true that there are some counties that are discriminated against when it comes to revenue allocation. There's a formula. There's a commission that has put in place mechanisms to share this revenue. The only problem is the current constitution says that at least 15% of the national revenue should go to the counties. That's what needs to be amended so that it's a bit higher, maybe a threshold above 25% going towards 35%. And we know that the current government has done very well because it has not stuck to the bare minimum. They've given the counties more than what's required by the constitution. So we cannot fault them for that. Now,
okay, let me ask, seeing the issue, seeing what Raila is trying to solve through the referendum is holding people accountable and also making devolution work better. But the big question here is the constitution is only 8 years old. Devolution is new. We haven't even given it an opportunity to see if it's going to work. Many leaders are saying that we need to give it time for implementation to work first to see if it actually works. And I'd just like to hear your opinion on that. What do you think?
No, but devolution has worked, and we are celebrating the fruits of devolution. The only thing we can do better to devolution is to make it better, and that is what Raila wants. So we have seen the successes of devolution in some counties. In Turkana, they first saw a tarmac road. They first saw a tarmac road in 2014. That is the fruits of devolution. In some counties, they first saw level 5 hospitals in 2015. So that is an indication that we are having successes of devolution. And if we can do it better, then you can imagine where Kenya can be. That is what that is the spirit and word of Raila Odinga. That is what he shares in.
Now, there is something that was mentioned here about why we must amend the structure of government to make it all-inclusive. Currently, the constitution we have says that the majority will have their way, while the minority have their say. What people in ODM have been pushing for is to have their way when they're in the minority, which is not what is enshrined in our constitution. We went through an election. Jubilee won that election. NASA contested it. They went to court. They got their way then. They were told to go back to the ballot. they stayed away from the poll. So Jubilee won again and formed a legitimate government. Now, when we say that we will be inclusive when those people who lost an election are part of the government, we're missing the point. We're a democracy. People who have the majority run the day. Let us not mix issues. When you're losing an election, be comfortable in the opposition. Perform your oversight role out there. Let those who were elected by the majority run government. Do not cause trouble for them. Do not try to get into government through the back door. Let us all have a habit of adhering to the rule of law.
There's also this idea of how a referendum is, you can't have a referendum without politics being involved, without campaigns. And we are just from an electioneering period. Economically, we have taken a few blows. And if we were to do a referendum right now, politicians would have to start campaigning. So that's why this whole talk of 22 politics has already started. It has started with a lot of momentum. However, what the DP is trying to say, according to his statements, is we will have politics from beginning to the end. Like, we will have little for development. We'll have little time and conversation for development. We would like to ask, the cost of having a referendum is how much? About 10 billion to 20 billion, which that is more. We're already in debt, so you can imagine that's an extra financial cost. But however, the ODM MPs are also saying we cannot wait until 2021 for us to start saying how we are going to review the constitution. If it needs to be reviewed, we do it now. What's your opinion on that?
Now, first, I think we need to be clear. The incipient intention of the handshake was for national cohesion, was for ethnic cohesion and national unity.
Yes.
This other untrammeled hubristic talk and constant lampooning that is being championed by the deputy president is to have our eyes actually off the ball. We are having, the ball is that we must have ethnic cohesion and we must have national unity. That is what the president and that is what the two presidents are fighting for. And that if we are to have a referendum, we must solve our issues before the 2022 election, because nobody will go into that election comfortable and well assured that that election is going to give us the leaders that we want.
Then we'll have another political crisis.
And then we will have a political crisis that is going to be worse than if we have a referendum. So generally, from all these talks, you can see the enemy of the country walking around, traversing the country. That is the enemy of the country. The people that are against the referendum, the people that want us to have ethnic clashes because they are beneficiaries of ethnic clashes. You see, these politicians that do not want us to have ethnic cohesion and national unity are politicians that cannot win in the ballot if people are united, because the only way they can win is their community against others. That is when people can vote for them. So these are ethnic leaders that are not ready to have our country united. They are our enemies, and we must really look into ways of expunging them from our national cake.
Okay, well, I'm here to represent the youth, and since this referendum is based on popular vote, that means the youth will have to be involved in the process. Currently, 9 out of every 10 of people between the age of 20 to 35 are unemployed. Shouldn't we be talking about how we can use that money to create employment than think about politicians and politics? Muthiora, what do you think? That's
what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I would want every youth out there watching us this morning to ask themselves, what do they get from this whole process?
Yes. What ways our...
We went to the polls. We are the people who filled up those rallies.
Yes.
We are the people who carried these politicians. But once they got into office, have we felt any tangible change in the way that we receive services? And the answer is no. Right now, we have almost the entire nation in floods. We have people suffering. We came out from a drought. We had no food then. The rains came, it has swept whatever crop that had been planted. So we are looking into a future where famine might strike again. We have leaders who are not selfless, leaders who are not visionaries, leaders who are there for self-aggrandizement.
Actually, the big debate going around is between our president and the deputy president is legacy versus ambition. Because Uhuru's statement, he mentioned during Matiba's funeral, he talked about how he wishes to correct what has not been corrected, and he will join Raila in making sure that things change. So does that mean that he's supporting, are we having a divided house? He's supporting the idea of a referendum, and also the other one is not supporting. So what's going to happen?
No, we have two factions. One that is supporting national unity and one that is against it. The one that is against it is trying to tell people, is trying to make the youth believe that, you see, I am a proletariat, they are the bourgeoisie. I am poor, they are the rich. We are poor together. Yet, this same Deputy President William Ruto has supported these bourgeoisies since he went into politics. Wait, no, wait. You see, because that is the talk. Let's have it. Let's talk about it. He supported Moi in 1992. He supported Raila in 2007. He supported Uhuru in 2013. All these people are dynasties that he is now saying he is against. But we must also focus as a youth that we are being told that we are the poor and that we must stand with our hustler. But we must remember that this hustler has joined the bourgeoisies. He is no longer a proletariat. This hustler has bought mansions everywhere. He has bought hotels everywhere. So he is no longer with us.
Wakili,
so
you are a young lawyer. You need to speak on behalf of the youth. Leave the deputy
now
president.
On the youth. Now on the youth. We are having. You are saying that we should use the 10 billion that is meant for referendum to create employment.
Not we should use it, but there are more pending, pressing issues.
My friend, that is a stopgap measure. We want to have a solution that is going to be long term. The long term solution is to have a unity of purpose, to have a united country, so that I'm a youth. When I go to an office, when I say my name is Ochieng, that is an issue. I'm not given a job. When I say I'm karaoke, I'm given a job. I go to an office when I say I'm Ekusi, I'm not given a job. When I say I'm Mutua, I'm given a job. That is what we want. So let's first solve the tribal issue, the ethnic issue that we have first, so that we can have a long-term solution, not stopgap measures. All right, so the youth should actually be involved in this. The youth must. In the long term, it's going to affect us. Because they are going to be the greatest beneficiaries. Because the president and the two presidents are talking about the future generation. Let's make a country that is going to be beneficial for the future generation. The future generation is the youth, and they must be very active in this process. All right, Muthiora, parting shots has been. The youth have been involved in political processes before, but they've not had their rightful place at the table where decisions are made. We elect leaders, and then these leaders, instead of engaging us, instead of talking to us about us, they get themselves around the table and talk about us in our absence. A time has come when we need to take charge. We must say no to this kind of representation that does not prioritize what we need. There is talk about legacy. I would like for our leaders to focus more on the need. That's what's important to Kenya right now. If a leader is not creating employment, that's not the right kind of leader that we should be listening to. We should shun their political rallies. And I would like to laud some of the governors who are making a lot of effort to uplift the youth. You've seen the work that's happening in Makueni. They are creating employment. Those are the kind of leaders we want. He's very exceptional. I have seen a bit of work that's already happening in Kisumu. People are not talking about this.
But then the youth have been engaged. In Kakamega, you saw we had a tournament. Okay, yeah. Now, I'll just want for our young people to not follow blindly.
Let us not
attend these political rallies because they asked us to come, but because there is something they are offering us, which is not a handout, but a shot at a brighter future.
So all hope is not lost, and I think more youth should get involved. They should find out what's happening. They should know how much it costs. They should know the consequences for now and the future, so that, like you said, we don't do things blindly. But thank you so much for coming. Youth and Politics. It's about time we wind up this segment. Thank you so much for joining us. Every Monday morning we do this, Asubuhi, with myself, Hilda Wadidi, on Youth and Politics. Do not touch that dial, Man Crush Monday. Why in the Morning continues shortly.